and just tell me.
So we're joined by the owner of Authentic Creations, Canton High graduate, USM graduate, Christina Nichols. We thank you so much for taking some time for us today. This is our entrepreneurship class. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School, and we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County Schools, Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, our YouTube channel, and the Academic Option Center. So thank you so much for taking some time out of your unbelievably busy schedule.
Super busy, but I'm happy to be here.
All right, so just before we get into your business, because you're doing a lot of great things, a lot of cool designs you're doing. Canton High, and then you went to USM. So just give us a little bit of background on your education and your path into entrepreneurship.
Okay, it's definitely an interesting one. Yes, I am a graduate of Kent Public Schools, the class of 2003. We just recently, last year, celebrated our 20th year class reunion. I then went to USM. I am a December 2008 graduate from there. Best times of my life. Met Greg. We had a lot of things in common. We knew a lot of people, the same people. We were intramural supervisors, teammates together. Good time there. From USM, I moved back this way, which is Canton, where I was born and raised. Um, Started working, had a couple government jobs, had a couple corporate jobs. And then I had my daughter at 29. And so that would be 2014. So 2016, she was diagnosed with autism and she's nonverbal. And so I was working corporate. My parents were helping me a lot because we were doing everything we could to find out more about her diagnosis at the time. So from there, I for some reason I bought a cricket machine. I just put it like that. I posted it on Facebook. Someone was like, "Oh, well, you can do t-shirts with that as well." And I was like,
Oh.
"Well, I didn't know that." So this guy, his name is Brian Davis. He's from Canton as well. He had like a little streetwear thing that he wanted me to. He was like, try it, figure out how to put my logo on a shirt. That's where it all started. So, and
Wow.
that was 2017, 2016, 2017, or whatever. But it started from there, from something I didn't even know I could do. I bought it to put the popular, when Yeti cups were very, very popular at the time. That's what I bought it for. But in the midst of that, I was working. My parents were really trying to help me get my daughter to all of her appointments because she needed PT, OT, and speech therapy at the time. And one day I had taken an order because I was very new to this, so orders would take me a long time. And I literally had a panic attack because I was supposed to be at work, but I didn't have the order ready for the person that needs to pick up. So I called my mom, and I was like, I am literally in a ball on the floor. She's like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I'm not sure." And then so she said, "This is your sign, or higher power letting you know that you can step out on faith." I was like, "What do you mean?" She was like, "You see what you can do with this. This will give you time to take your daughter to where she needs to go, interact with her, learn more about her diagnosis." And literally from there, I put in my 2 weeks notice at my job, stepped out on faith 8 years ago now, and I've been self-employed
Wow.
ever since. So that's
That is
my,
incredible.
yeah.
That is absolutely incredible. Now, you have your logo there in the background. Explain that design because I've wondered that myself. Because obviously it's called Authentic Creations, but you have the 39 in the
Oh,
logo. So explain the story on that.
so Greg, you know a little bit more about that than you know. I am a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I pledged on the campus of USM spring of 2006, and my line number is 39. And
Oh,
my line name is Authentic Key because we're the 47 keys to a definitive collection. So I was the 39th key. So Authentic Key, the number 39, I just somehow mashed it together, and here we have Authentic Creations with the 39 subbing as the E.
yeah, and I think that's great to be part of the Menu chapter. Just so many great young ladies have come through there, including our own art teacher, Miss Davis, who was
Yes.
also a member of the Menu chapter there at Southern Miss. Now, tell us about some of the things that you sell because I see the things you post online. You literally, you can pretty much put a design on anything. So talk about some of the things that you sell because obviously the shirts are big, but you do a lot of other things as well.
Oh yeah, the shirts are big, but even bigger than that, I do obituaries, I do banners. I don't create logos just because that takes a little bit more time than I would like to take. Um, what else do we do? We do pretty much anything. We do cards, um, business cards, we do sweatshirts, we do hoodies, we do cups. Um, I do pretty much all. We do stickers, like the campaign stickers. Some of the young ladies from Velma Jackson this homecoming, they were
Yep.
running for Mr. or Miss or
Yep.
whatever. Stickers. We do pretty much if you can think of it. I do it. I do the custom jeans like you saw that the two ladies.
Yep. You had some outfits in our Velma Jackson homecoming parade
That
that
is
were very well.
correct. Yep,
Yeah.
I do the custom jeans. I pretty much take a stab at it. If I can do it or think I can do it, I'll tell you yes, and we'll work from there. I'm a perfectionist, so you'll never know if I like messed it up 1,000 times before I got it right. But that's the part of being a self-employed entrepreneur.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I've seen, and we've had several alums. I know, obviously we've had several Kenton people, so we've had a lot of entrepreneurs in this area. But one thing that I see is when a kid steps out, and even if they're just having something on the side, they go into business for themselves. They immediately start advertising. They getting the brand out. Some of them have great ideas. We like in here in this room with me right now. I've got some great business concepts. They may have great customer service, but I immediately tell them, "You're not charging enough." Because they have the 15, 16-year-old mindset of, man, that's high. I'm not paying that. Well, just because you won't doesn't mean somebody else won't. So talk about that science of
Right.
coming up with the right price because it really is one of the toughest games to play.
That is the biggest thing. Even though I'm only 7, 8 years in, have tons of people like you say want to get in the business, want to start, and the biggest thing is the pricing. To me, the key thing is to remember 3 times your cost. That's take whatever it's going to cost you to make it. You're going to times it by three because 1/3 of it is your materials, 1/3 of it is your time, and 1/3 of it is your profit. That's how I look at it. Now you have to, some things you do have to like scale back depending on what it is. Um, and actually, before we get off, I'll show you like the Canon wristband that I'm offering right now. You get it free if you purchase the homecoming shirt for me, just because of
Wow.
thank you to just as a thank you to doing business with me, sticking around with me, coming back year after year. But I'm only charging $2 for anybody else because it's homecoming. You want everybody to have a little bit of tiger spirit or something and say, hey, they might not can afford a t-shirt or they might not have missed a deadline for a t-shirt. But hey, here's the opportunity for you to still wear something that says like Ken Tigers. Our theme this year is Forever Fierce, Forever Strong. And it has that on there as well. And I'll show it to you before we get off. But you always want to charge 3 times whatever your cost. And you have to remember you have to pay yourself. You're not in this as a fundraising activity or a non-profit activity. If you're doing it for business, you have to treat it as a business because you have to pay yourself and pay your bills.
Yeah, and I think a big thing of that, and I think that's great that you do, and I'll talk about this a lot about perceived value. So if you offer something extra like that, and they're like, "Well, I'm going to get a bracelet too," people are willing to pay $4, $5, $6 more, and that adds
Yep,
up over time. So if you can offer more, you can charge more.
that is correct. And another thing to remember is that these are custom items. Yes, you can go buy a graphic tee from Walmart every day for $5 to $10 because I do. I mean, I have plenty of them. But when you're ordering from somebody, this is a custom piece of work that maybe only a few people have or only you'll have, and it's not something you can find at Walmart or you would have went to Walmart for it. So you have to take that in consideration when you're buying from makers and creators and crafters that they're taking their hard-earned, time to make this item for you. So you are willing to pay a little bit more because it's custom. So that's how I explain it to people too. That's why it says for all your custom needs on my logo. This is not
That's a good
Walmart.
point.
This is not Walmart.
Now, one thing I was wondering too is obviously you do a lot of social media and Etsy marketing. So, but obviously, a place like Canton or Velma Jackson that has alums from the 60s and 70s, You want to reach out to that market too. So how do you reach the market that maybe isn't as savvy as social media?
Okay, so that's a bit tricky because I always wonder how people find me. But I think our older generation knows that they have to ask our younger people, "Hey, how do I get one?" Or "I saw you with that on. How do I get it?" I mean, I have before placed flyers or left business cards in areas where there are traffic of more your seniors or older people, and they'll say, "Oh, yeah, Carmichael," or I put them out other like what have you there. They'll get the card and call them. This is what I'm looking for, and we go from there.
Yeah, and then on top of that, and I'm glad you've mentioned this a few times about what they want. Because another trap I see a lot of young business owners make is they just do what they want. Like if they open a restaurant, they cook what they like. If they're designing a game, they make what they want. I always say this, and I say this all the time. The entrepreneur needs the customer more than the customer needs the entrepreneur. So even if you think something is stupid, you have to be able to make what the customer wants if you want to stay in business.
Prime example of that right now with homecoming in Canton this week. Of course, as you all know, I have two different shirts. I have this like great AI generated graphic design tee, and then I have just what I'm calling a spirit tee that'll be available year round, where it just says Can Tigers and has the new Can Tiger logo in the center. And that not on that goes to people that wants that graphic design like tee, and it has the people that just, hey, I want to represent Can Tigers, your older people, your older generation, or just a plain t-shirt that you want to wear to a game or something. So that it doesn't say homecoming or anything like that. And so you have to be diverse and knowing what people want. You have to keep your ear to the street as well, seeing what trends are on, seeing what people are asking about, seeing what's not being offered in the area so that you can set yourself apart as well.
Yeah, and another thing with this, you're a one person show, I've had other guests that have said, "Look, it was a good investment for me to go ahead and open a storefront. That doesn't work best for everybody." Now, what are some other strategies? Because obviously you're big on the Instagram and Etsy, like we talked about. But what type of face-to-face marketing and selling do you do? Because obviously you probably want to set something up at Canton Homecoming or at the Jackson State Games or things of that nature. So, what are some other strategies that you have to reach these markets?
You have to put yourself out there. And not to take away anything from Authentic Creations, but my husband and I also have an inflatables company. So we cross market all the time.
Oh, that's awesome.
If someone comes gets a shirt, they get a card that has my business on one side of it and the inflatables water slides business on the other side. So you wouldn't think that, but if the church calls for a water slide, they're also introduced to Authentic Creations to maybe get the church I don't know what they call them, like an anniversary or whatever they're going to have. They may need some shirts for the church. So they're always
Wow.
getting introduced to both sides of the business that we have. If you pick up a shirt, you're definitely going to know we have water slides. So I've done an email blast before to like all the local churches. If you can find an email address, you just shoot them a flyer and say, hey, keep us in mind when you're having your next church picnic or when you're having your next church function. I mean, we
Wow.
rent tables and chairs as well, so we're always busy over
Well,
here.
that that's a it's another great idea because it's all about if you can streamline services, again, gives you the opportunity to charge more. People will pay for convenience. If you can sell the fact that, look, we can take care of your shirts, but we can also provide this event for you, people are a lot more likely to only do business with you because they're not going to have to look for the other ones.
And we get that more often than you think. They're like, yeah, this I just want to be the one stop shop. So if it's a family reunion, they get the shirts, they get the water slides, they get the tables and the chairs. Right here, you get a good deal because you're getting it all with us as well. So it's just about playing to your market and seeing what you want. Like I said, email blast to churches or anything, any auxiliary groups, just to keep your name and face out there. They have like the Ken newspaper that offers advertising. I've done that before and it's brought in some business as well. It's just all about your budget and what you can kind of make the most of it in. And also, you mentioned about storefronts, and I've been approached about having a storefront. I've looked into it, but it makes more sense because of the overhead and the way I operate, and with my daughter's needs that
Yeah.
um we keep it in house, so to speak. Like my entire dining room is like a print shop, but we also have two sheds outside that have like stuff that we do out of it as well. But it just works out a little bit better for me at this point, and since she's maybe older or can be self-sufficient.
Yeah, and but that's a great point because I have kids all the time that say they want to be entrepreneurs. And one of the big pros of that is if you have a family, you can attend to your family's needs at your own schedule. But at the
Yes,
same time, the difficult part of that is you really have to manage your time to say, look, I'm going to set this side, I'm going to set X amount of time for my daughter, but I've got to complete orders during this time. It's not something you can be lazy with. You've really got to be organized.
that is correct. I hit the ground running just like I have an 8 to 5 because as soon as I get her out the door and drop her off at school, I am trying to cram as much into those 6 hours before she gets. I have to go pick her up at 2:20. So I'm trying to do as much as I can because I know when she gets here, she's gonna need my attention. So and I don't get as much work done. But yeah, I start at 8 o'clock. Well, most times I actually get up before she does at like 4 or 5 and then get her up around 6:30. But I've already done some things because you have to manage your time, you have to stay diligent. And that's the thing with being a, a self-employed person, period, regardless if it's an entrepreneur, whatever you're doing, you gotta stay you gotta stay dedicated to what it is and make sure that you're putting the right amount of time in it to make it successful. It's all that's what it boils down to.
Big time. Now, and I know everybody gets sick of me giving this example, but I think it's a great example. And the kids of this generation just think things are so easy and glamorous because they see the Instagram side, they see the TikTok side, and the song by Jasmine Sullivan. And I'm a huge Jasmine Sullivan fan, but she has the song where she says, "I'm going to move to Atlanta, open a business, and be rich." And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. The glamorous side's fun, but the financial side where kids seem to overlook things are where people get in trouble. So talk about that attention to detail that we really don't see on the front end.
Wow, that's a big one because that's true. Like starting off, you would think, like you said, going back to your thing, say, hey, I wouldn't pay $40 for that t-shirt somebody just made in their house. But that's the thing, it takes money to make money. The machines, the amount of presses that I have, the number of printers. I wish you could see all the things I'm looking at right now. The just you have to reinvest back in it. When you make $1, you got to split it up between savings, living, and investing for the next thing. So that's kind of like what I've done. When I got my first big order, I think it was to me, I mean, it was big at the time. It was like $450. I was like, oh my God, I made $450. But I actually didn't because I needed to save some, I needed to pay some bills, and I wanted to reinvest. So I took some of that money. I said, I'm gonna start out always having some t-shirts so I don't have to go and run to buy a t-shirt from the store. And that's another thing. When you get into these businesses, try to find your wholesale vendors, your wholesale things that's going to save you a lot of money and time instead of running to Michael's or Walmart to buy a shirt every time. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, you just have to take what your profit is or what you think your profit is and reinvest it yourself. That's another key thing because all the machines and materials and everything that I have going on here, I would not have if I didn't take some of that and just say, hey, I'm gonna take all this profit and buy the next big printer or the next thing I need to keep up with what's going on.
Yeah, and I think a lot of kids when they're starting out don't think about those upfront costs. So really coming up with a financial plan and even find and there's entrepreneur and especially since COVID, there's entrepreneurs now that work with entrepreneurs. Where we have another friend of the class that's in the New York City area, and she literally does finances for Black-owned startups. That's all she
Okay.
does. She does it from her
Okay.
home. She
We have
manages
to
their money.
we have to
Oh,
hook up
I'll
on
get you in
that. Yeah.
contact. I'll get you in
Right.
contact.
Yeah.
So
We
yeah,
have to make sure we get that
yeah,
together.
I'll definitely get you in contact with her. But finding people like that instead of trying to wing it on your own can wind up saving you thousands down the road.
Yes, yes. For always finding the best. You want to jump out and do it, but you want to find the best cost efficient item or product or machine or whatever it is that you're wanting to do and see how it works for you. And often because something's a trend, you don't have to jump on that trend because it's a trend. You want to find out your bread and butter. Like I know, regardless of what else I do, t-shirts are always going to be it. So I can never like just say, oh, I don't do t-shirts anymore. Now I have stopped like the custom Yeti cups just because the chemicals and the things that it takes sometimes to do that don't mesh well with my home and I don't want them around my daughter. But you have to make the decisions that are best for you. So yeah, just if you could take any notes, uh, maximize your profits before you set a price. Make sure it's a comfortable price where you're making a decent profit and it doesn't take you um so much to make a dollar, if that makes sense. You want to stay dedicated to your craft and your time. You want to reinvest in yourself. I am self-taught. I am not a graphic designer by any means. Like I've
Wow.
never took a graphic design class, but I'm self-taught because your social channels, your YouTubes, like I call it YouTube University. Because if you want to know how to do something, you can do a lot of research on just YouTube because people are always offering their advice. So dedicate to your craft. Always be learning. That's one thing I can say. I learn something new about this job every day. Nothing is the same. It's ever the same, and you want to stay on the cutting edge. So those are some of the things that you should definitely take away from this.
That's awesome. Well, I do have some questions, and I like these. This first one is Shirai Luckett. He's in 10th grade, and he asked, "What's the hardest design you've ever done on a piece of clothing?"
The hardest one. Okay, so this is back when I first started, I took this order. She wanted some Ninja Turtle shirts. Now, everything these days, and most of you know, it's like a print where you can design it, get it printed, or print it yourself, and then you just press it onto the shirt. But back in the olden days, which is only like 5 or 6 years ago, we use vinyl for everything. And vinyl is a different color of materials that you get where you have to cut each individual color. So the Ninja Turtles, they're green, but then you have Donatello, you have the red, the blue, the purple, and green. And so it took like 10 different colors and 12 different layers for me to do one shirt. And they wanted like 12 of them. So I got in over my head, but I got it done. So it was a Ninja Turtle design that took like 10 different colors with
Yeah, gum.
all right. And so this is vinyl. I don't know if it's in the frame, but
Yeah, yeah, we
vinyl,
see
this,
it.
this is a goal. So imagine having to take 10 different colors and like cut it through your Cricut machine, weed it, which is like taking the excess material away and putting it on the shirt. So that means 10 different presses per shirt for every shirt. So yeah, I learned my lesson with that.
I hope you charge a little bit more on that one.
I did not. That's the thing. I did not. I didn't know any better at the time. It was a learning
This is
experience.
This is Caden Williams. He's in 10th grade, one of our power lifters and football players here. And he asked, "What is the biggest obstacles you face as a black business owner?"
Hmm. Well, I won't say as a black business, it's just about inserting yourself in the right groups and sitting at the right tables. Because believe it or not, as a black business owner, you might have some reservations. I wouldn't know because I never meet a stranger. Greg knows as well. But just like inserting yourself, like get into like I'm in the Rankin County Flowwood Moms group. I've never lived in Rankin County, but we put space jumps at Flowwood all the time. I've had people contact me and say, "Hey, I saw your shirt from somebody." They don't know if I'm black or white, but they call, they put their order in, they're happy with their service, and you have a customer for life. And you always want to go back and extra people too about feedback because just because I sent the shirt out thinking it's perfect, something may have happened. So I always ask people all the time, or try to contact to stay in line with them as well. Hey, how was that service? Hey, did the water slide go well? Hey, did the t-shirts once you wash them a couple times, how did it do? Because the thing about t-shirts and all this, as we take on new different things, we don't necessarily have the time to take a shirt and wash it 20 times to tell you, hey, it's going to peel after the first one. But if I stay in contact with you and ask you, hey, how was this? You can give me feedback and we can go from there. Because if you didn't have a great experience or something happened with your shirt, I'm going to replace it or make sure your next order is even better.
Yeah, and that goes back to the importance of communication and being able to face deal with customers. That's such a big skill, and you could have the best concept, the best price, the
Customer
best
service.
idea, but if you can't communicate with customers, all this is for nothing.
Yes. And I've had people tell me that I deal with you or I come back to you all the time because I feel like you're listening and you get it down pack. And it's all about just staying in contact with your customer. I don't put anything on a shirt before I say, hey, this is your draft. This is how it looks. Are you sure this is how you want it to look? And then we can make
Oh yeah.
changes, if it needs, because you waste materials, your time, and a lot of other things when you just slap it on. So make sure you're always staying in communication with your customer.
That's awesome. Well, I got one more. This is Demarion Landfair. He's a ninth grade football player here, and he asked, "What types of obstacles did you face when you first opened?"
I would say getting in over my head. Um, and what I mean by that is just taking on too much that I didn't know how to handle at the time. I've gotten so much better. I mean, but that's just with any job. You know how to manage your time better. Like I say, I had my first panic attack ever in life because I was supposed to be at work, but I had to do those shirts. So I had to learn how to manage my time. I had to know, hey, I can't do this just because you called and asked. I can do a lot of stuff last minute because I have the equipment that some others may not. But you have to just make sure that you're appreciating yourself. You have to rest. You and that's what people's like, okay, can you do the shirts for me tomorrow? Well, no, because I want to go to sleep too. Yes, I need to make $1, but I want to go to sleep as well. So you have to just not take on too much and figure out your sweet spot and what you can handle.
Now we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much. But before we go, show us that new design you were talking about.
Um, for Ken, for which
Yeah,
design? Okay, hold on.
yeah,
Let's
the
see.
one you said you wanted to show from Canton High.
Oh, the wristband. Hold on. So yeah, and I did some Velma house party shirts. I think that was your thing, like a 90s thing. And so
Yeah, they were great.
I will be doing this for Velma next year. Okay. So we did these a couple years ago, but COVID kind of like stopped us. But this is a new wristband. Okay, so it says Can Tigers. It's blue with gold writing, of course, and then it says Forever Fierce. And these are only $2. I know y'all are Falcons, but that's okay. You know, people in can, and you can let them know that they can have a little spirit, whatever. Like I said, they may not can afford whatever. Let me show you. This is this is the Can homecoming design. I don't know why it's not showing. Let's try. There we go. So
Yeah, there we go.
this is for like a baby t-shirt, but that's okay. This is designed for Ken. It says Tiger Pride. And this is, like I said, the one that's more AI generated, a little more design to it or what have you. But then we also have just the one for like if you just want to show a little, it just says Can Tigers. And it has just a new, this is the Can Tiger new logo too. Um, and it's just plain and it's a spirit shirt that you can purchase at any time. But I will send you my contact information. You have most of, but I'll make sure that the kids want anything, parents, teachers. I do it all. I've had the same number for 23 years, so everybody pretty much
Yeah,
knows.
and your company there in the back, that's your Instagram. Very easy to find. It's on Etsy, it's on Facebook. Super easy to find.
Facebook,
But
Etsy.
the last thing before we go, why should these kids really consider going into business for themselves?
Um, my big thing is the freedom. Now I can't speak for everybody, but me, it's the freedom to be able to go on trips, to go um to other business meetings, to be able to sit at the tables with some of the other people that you didn't think you would just because you have your own business. You can make your own money the way you want to make it. You can switch up whenever you want to do it. You it's pretty much it's you. I mean, it's the like I say, I did it because of my daughter and her medical needs, but it was the best freeing thing I've ever done. Like I said, I work corporate, I work government, and it's just nothing is wrong with it. I thought that's what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I never considered being an entrepreneur or being self-employed at all because it's kind of scary. Because
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, you put yourself out there, but you still have to wait on people to place an order, regardless of what you do. You can have the best marketing or anything, but you still need somebody with some money to place an order. So to me, for me, it was the freedom to be able to handle my daughter's needs.
I love it. Well, we've come a long way since the Pain Center. Steve Ray would be very proud.
I know.
But in Authentic Creations, Christina Nichols, Canton High, but also Southern Miss. So before we
To the
go,
top.
Southern Miss to the top.
To the top. SMTTT.
All right,
Thank
buddy.
you.
I'll talk to you later.
All right.
See ya.